There we go.
And off we go.
Exploration is the best card to play on turn 1 with that deck. Is that a
Mhm.
Blood Moon?
Is it? God, that would be
What was that
spicy.
card you
Main
just
deck Blood
showed?
Moon and Sneak and
No,
Trail?
maybe it's it's right under his thumb there. I don't know. I saw the red card and I was like, whoa.
Bill's gonna play a Scalding Tarn and pass turn.
Waste the Scalding Tarn. Living the dream.
He might have another waste in hand or Ghost Quarter.
Yeah, just giving yourself the opportunity to. Phil also has a second basic island in his hand.
Yep. Dave Long, seeing all the lines. Waste your fetch, then play a port, and port you in my upkeep. Or
Because
in your
otherwise, this is kind of an interesting interaction. If he had not wasted that fetch land, then during the upkeep, Phil just doesn't crack the fetch. If it gets ported, he can crack in response. Basically, he guarantees himself an additional mana during the main phase. But wasting the fetch and then porting deprives him of that mana at main phase. He can't use that mana for sorcery speed things. He can just do something like a brainstorm.
So Phil's gonna brainstorm in response to the port, and then he's gonna cast a Gataxian Probe.
Yep, which is, and he sees Life from the Loam, which is the best card for Dave here. It's probably going to be too little too late when your opponent has multiple basics. You don't want to be recurring wastelands. It's an Emrakul he just drew off the Ponder. So he's probably setting up for a turn 3 show and tell, and just hoping that that's good enough.
Yeah, I do believe he drew from Probe. Okay, so he's gonna drop Ancient Tomb. I think here we go. Show and tell.
Yep.
Put in Omniscience.
Dave declines to put something in.
This should be it. Oh yeah.
Emrakul
All right,
and
there we go.
Grizzle.
That's game 1. I didn't even know he had the Grizzle brand. All right, and just like that, we're on to game 2. We're less than 5 minutes into the round. Now, that's what happens with Sneak and Show sometimes. Sometimes you get the nuts and just like, okay. I mean, like you said, game 1 is pretty rough for lands. It's almost unwinnable.
Yeah.
You have to get really,
Sometimes
really
they
lucky.
play Caracas main, but that doesn't help you against Omniscience. Doesn't help you against Sneak Attack.
Yep.
It's, you have very few lines of interaction. You just
Yeah.
try to port them a couple times. They have plenty of basics too, and they have petals as non-land mana sources, so
Yep.
not a whole lot.
Um,
So out of the sideboard, we don't have the lists right now, but we can expect that Dave has some amount of Chalice of the Voids and some amount of Sphere of Resistance. That's the common anti-combo package. Chalice is not at its best against Sneak and Show because their combo pieces cost 3 and 4. But it shuts off all the cantrips and can shut off their cheap counter magic. Phil Rose probably just has maybe a surgical extraction or something. There's not generally a whole lot that they have. Grafter's Cage is a common Sneak Show sideboard card, but does not interact well against Life from the Loam.
yep. Or Punishing Fire, but not like he keeps Punishing Fire in anyway.
Yeah, Dave has a lot of anti-small creature tools, Punishing Fire, most likely like a Molten Vortex or a Seismic Assault, things that he can just get rid of.
Tabernacle, he doesn't need Tabernacle.
Yeah. Although I have killed an Emrakul with the Tabernacle before. My
That's
opponent
great.
goes Petal, Ancient Tomb, Show and Tell. He puts in Emrakul, I put in Smokestack. I tick up the Smokestack, play a Tabernacle, and then waste him. Waste the Ancient Tomb. He sacks his only other land, which is a basic island, to the Smokestack, and then next turn, Tabernacle, he can't pay for the Emrakul. 0 permanence.
So good. Yeah, Tabernacle can do dumb stuff like that. It's one of Lance's few answers to True Name Nemesis, for example. Just waste you out of mana and then put a Tabernacle in so you can't pay for your
So
True Name.
Kyle's suggesting that the Sneak and Show player had Sabo's Web out of the sideboard. Sabo's Web is an
Ooh.
old school card. This is a 2-mana artifact when it comes
Literally
to play.
was printed to stop Rishon Important Standard. Like, literally, that's why they printed the
It's
card.
the hate card.
So go ahead and describe it.
That and Teferi's response were the two.
Yeah.
So Sabo's Web is a 2-mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, its controller draws a card. And then, while it's in play, lands that have abilities other than mana abilities do not untap. So pretty much every land in Dave Long's deck, except for the Taigas, the Forests, and the Grove of the Burnwillows, have non-mana abilities. That's why he puts them in his deck. So Sabo's Web, if it is in his deck, as the intel tells us, is a great sideboard card to bring in. Another utility that has is against Death and Taxes. It shuts off Waste, Port, and especially Karakas. If they tap their Karakas early and you just cast a spell, because it does tap for white mana, you jam a Sabo's Web, and it never untaps again. You don't have to worry about that. And Twin Dom says that Dave Long perhaps has Boil. Boil is an excellent sideboard card. It gets in both ways because it blows up islands of all types, volcanics and regular. And since you're relying on Port as your primary mana denial, he's going to fetch up his basics, take them out of his deck, and then they're ready to sit there and be boiled.
All right.
Tabernacle does not untap for whatever reason. It has an ability that's not a mana ability, so...
Oh my goodness, that is spice. I have not seen that yet. So Dave Long has one copy of Song of the Dryads in his sideboard. So if you're not familiar with Song of the Dryads, it's 2 and a green for an aura, and you can enchant any permanent, I believe. And it turns the enchanted permanent into a forest. Turns it into a forest land.
It's almost like a green Oblivion Ring.
Yeah.
It can be, if Phil Rose casts Show and Tell...
I think
and
it comes in
Dave
here.
puts in Song of the Dryads. He can attach it to whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it comes in here because it functions like an Oblivion Ring.
Yeah.
You activate, or you place Show and Tell, and
It's actually
Dave puts
better
it
than
in.
Oblivion Ring because there's no trigger. It just comes in.
Yeah, it
attached
stays
to
in
the
play.
thing.
Yeah, it stays in play. Yeah, you can
here-
have a forest instead of an omniscience. How about that?
It's not going to be relevant here, but there's a cute interaction with that. If you Song of the Dryads something, like a creature, let's say a Song of the Dryads, your Leovold. Then later on in the game, I can make my Thespian stage a copy of your Leovold because it's a land. But copy effects only copy the original printed value of the cards. Now my Thespian stage is a Leovold with the ability to tap, become a copy of target land.
Magic's fun.
Oh yes, you're correct. It is only activated abilities, so it would not affect things like Tabernacle. So, Song of the Dryads looks pretty good, but I think I have a better sideboard plan on my side of the matchup. I have 4 copies of Sabo's Web.
Jeez.
4 copies of Sabo's Web and 2 Blood Moons.
Wow.
The rest of the sideboard, whatever. But those in particular.
That's coming in. So let's see the rest of Dave's sideboard. So he's got 1 Song, 3 Sphere of Resistance,
Which we just saw one of them be cast, so he clearly brought those in.
Oh, we got forced. Okay. 1 Ancient Grudge, 1 Chalice, 3 Croson Grip, a Bajuka Bog, 2 Sensei Tops, 1 Boil, 1 Pyroblast, and 1 Titania Protector of Argoth. That's spicy.
Somebody who plays 4 copies of Sabo's Web just has hatred for a
look,
small
so-
section of the player base.
It's not that small though. So in this region, there's a lot of really good Lance players, and there's a lot of mediocre Lance players, and a lot of bad Lance players. There's just a lot of Lance players general.
And
Like,
Death and Taxes too. There's the Venn diagram of overlap. That
Yeah.
card also is a house against D&T.
yeah, exactly. So in this meta game, it's really warped towards the lands decks, and so Phil can say, okay, if I'm in the XO bracket, I can expect because you're talking about Dave Long, Jarvis Yu, Kevin King. These guys are really, really good lands players, and they're usually in the XO X1 bracket. So when you're looking at that, you can expect to probably play against lands at the top tables if you want
More
to be
than
there.
once, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if that's what you're looking at, sure, Sabo's why not?
And Rich and Important and Wasteland together have such a hold on the Legacy metagame. You are going to play against them in some capacity every tournament you go to.
And there's 1 Sabo's Web right there.
Goblin finds it annoying. Good against land still, too.
So Gibbous points out Jarvis has been playing a lot of Miracles recently, which is interesting. Now, obviously, he won the GP with lands, but wow. So Dave Long plays Spirits number
forces.
2, and Phil plays Force number 2. Not having it.
Yeah, I think that's a good prediction, is if you're coming to Eternal Extravaganza knowing that it's in Baltimore, prepare for lands.
Mm-hmm.
Sabo's Web. I'm a lands enthusiast, okay? I was Team Wasteland for a long portion of my Legacy playing, and so I don't like seeing this happen. It's like, alright, so let me explain this card to you. It says your land's never untap, and I get to draw a card. It doesn't affect me at all, it only affects you, and I win the game.
Yeah, that's a good time to resolve Sabo's Web when Dave Long is tapped
4
out.
copies of Sabo's Web. I like it. I'm actually... the more we talk about it, I'm on board with the 4 Sabo's Web.
Because it also cantrips.
Yeah.
So it's not even totally dead if you have a second copy.
Mm-hmm. Shuts off Caracas.
Unless Dave Long's playing, like, Echoing Truth, he's probably pretty set.
Yeah, lands being very expensive is a thing, but if you total up the cost of the deck, now that it's just red-green, it doesn't play any...
Ooh, wow.
Whoa.
What a draw. So Dave Long drew Mox Diamond, I think, or he drew a land maybe. So he played Mox Diamond, pitching Taiga. And so now he's got the Dark Depths combo with 2 open Mox Diamonds. He's got it available to him. He can make a Merit Lage right now.
That is beautiful. It's like, yeah, I don't need to untap them because I'm just going to kill you.
So if you guys aren't familiar with the lands combo, what happens is, so Thespian Stage is a land that taps for colorless mana. You can pay 2 and tap it and make it a copy of target land. So Dark Depths is a land, it's a legendary land actually. It comes into play with 10 ice counters on it, which you see there. And you can pay 3 to remove an ice counter from it. So when there are no ice counters on it, you sacrifice it, and if you do, you put a 20/20 Merit Lage legendary creature token with indestructible and flying into play. When you use Thespian Stage to copy Dark Depths, it doesn't enter the battlefield. It just becomes a copy. So it becomes a copy specifically with no ice counters on it. So that triggers the Merit Lage ability, makes a 20/20, and then you can attack your opponent for 20 damage.
You used triggers incorrectly after we had just had that conversation.
No, the ice is a trigger.
It is a trigger?
It is a trigger. So it's a trigger that checks status.
trigger,
so you
yeah.
can you can't stifle it because you can stifle the trigger,
But it'll just
but then it
happen
triggers again because it says, oh, I still don't have any ice counters on me.
I thought you were talking about the stage ability, and I'm like, that's...
No. The stage ability is an activation. Yeah.
All right, so now we sit here.
So he's gonna make it 20/20. So does Phil Rose have any bounce in his sideboard?
He has 1 wipe
He has a wipe away. We'll see if he brought it in and has it.
the old
he's not
LSV
scooping.
token.
Yeah, it's LSV. Here's 20. Okay, Phil's dead. All right.
Wow, that was a great game. I'm glad we got to see that.
All right. So we.
Sabo's Web. Do you lose? Well, I can just make this 20/20. He's not a land, so I get to untap him, right?
Right.
That was excellent. Yeah. And so the mana, the Mox Diamond being a mana source that is not locked bound by the Sabo's Web was very, very important there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he would have been at least, with no Mox Diamonds, he would have been 2 turns behind schedule, assuming he just played a land every turn.
Yeah. And that's where, so, cards like Winter Orb and Sabo's Web, they're good, right? But they play a kind of a fair game. So, like, yeah, lands has trouble keeping its lands untapped, trouble making mana, while cards like that are in play. But, I mean, if I have an Exploration, I'll just, my Mox Diamonds aren't affected by them.
Mm-hmm.
If I have an Exploration in play, I'll just play my Dark Depths combo and make it 20/20. And your Winter Orb looks real bad against that.
On the metagame clock, lands is like combo prison, and some draws they have like a actual just like turn 1 or 2 Merit Lage, and that is a combo deck, But you have to interact with it in weird ways. Phil did the best he could. I mean, those are just the cards he had available. The Sabo's Web was good; it just wasn't good enough. Great sideboard plan, but you found a line through it. Definitely. Very true. That's one of the things I don't like about Modern is the sideboard cards are just open and shut. This game, you would think Sabo's Web would be the open and shut.
Yeah.
But it was not. Shuffling up for game 3. Phil is on the play though, so no, turn 2 show and tell is probably still good enough. Do we have Dave's deck list? Can I take a look at that?
Hmm?
Yeah. So notably, Dave does not have a single Karakas in his deck. He scratched out Karakas and wrote Boyle, so he changed his mind last minute. I hate Boyle. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I play High Tide. That is my deck of choice. I hate Boyle. Nothing makes me more mad than getting boiled. Especially Boseiju boiled. Alright, we've presented decks. Let's go into game 3. Yeah, he has the Glacial Chasm, which can buy him a little bit of time. I'm just looking through the list of utility lands here. He has a Glacial Chasm, which can buy him some time. Not against Emrakul, because you have to sack your whole board.
Yeah.
But, and that's really about it.
Yeah, he doesn't have much for when the creature actually comes down.
This is a
Basically,
much more
Song of the Dryads or
streamlined build.
nothing.
Yeah. He has the Barbarian Ring, which is not good in this matchup.
He has a
but that's
Pirate
like-
Blast, which is interesting. I don't think I usually see that in
Oh, yeah.
lands.
That's another quick edit. A single Pyro Blast on the board. 2 Sensei's tops. So there's some spice in the board, but unfortunately not applicable to this matchup.
Yeah.
If we see Dave on camera later playing as Miracles, we'll get to see the full extent of those changes.
All right, so we're
Waiting on mulligan decisions, I think.
waiting on mulligans.
Strand go. Has Phil cast a cantrip this whole game?
I don't think
cast
he
a
has.
probe. Yeah, he did ponder it in
He
an Emrakul
brainstormed
game
in response to a port.
Yeah.
I think like 1 per game is the rate he's currently going at.
I'm
But
not
you didn't need
happy
it in
with the
game
game
one.
of Legacy until I've cast 6 cantrips.
All right, so Dave's gonna open with Mox Diamond.
Discarding some
I believe that's resolving.
superfluous land.
Pitching. Couldn't see it.
Yeah. He also is cracking a fetch. He's already discarded the Mox.
Oh, okay.
He's at 19.
Oh, yeah.
Grab the basic forest. He's wise to the Blood Moon.
Rush signed Beta Forest. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Clean beta lands are the best. I don't know. There's a whole lot of lands you can play that are defensible, cool land decisions. But beta's at the top of the list for me.
My top is Guru Lance, but I don't have
Yeah.
the wherewithal to actually pony up the cash for something like that.
Somebody on Misprint Group had a misprinted Guru Island, the Drowning Man ones. Have you ever seen that?
No.
The set symbol is shifted and twisted, so like it's normally looks like a little eyeball or like I think it's supposed to be like one of those mortarboard hats,
Uh-huh.
but it's shifted so it's in the water and it kind of
Huh.
looks like a guy with his hands sticking out. So they call them Drowning Man ones. It was literally like a 5-figure land.
Yeah.
Basic island.
Take a second mortgage out. Buy that one. Just like the test print City of Traders.
Second, third, and fourth mortgages. All right, here's a brainstorm. Did it not get countered by Chalice? Or is he brainstorming?
He's
in response to
He's
Chalice?
responding to Chalice brainstorm. Chalice is for 1.
Okay. This is still in Sunset.
Still on the stack. Phil's gonna brainstorm in response.
Yep, resolving a brainstorm in the face of a Chalice is a little bit hairy because there's probably some good cards in there, but he has to weigh their
Yeah.
playability. He might just never get to resolve some.
And like the other thing is about Chalice 1 is that Chalice 1 shuts down his cantrips, right? But it doesn't actually stop the combo at all.
Yeah.
So
Unlike a deck like Storm, where you shut off their cantrips and their
yeah,
mana. Yeah.
like do you like if Phil got a Force of Will from that brainstorm? Does he actually want to cast it? Maybe not.
No.
If he
Yeah.
has the pieces, he doesn't need to.
Well, that's why Sneak Show is one of the premier combo decks in Legacy. Is it gets to dodge a reasonable amount of hate. Things like Sphere Resistance. Okay, well I have all these soul lands in my deck. I have tons of basics. I'll just play a 5-mana sneak attack. Who cares? Things like Chalice of the Void. And here's Sabo's Web.
Sabo's Web, which doesn't do anything on this board state right now, but it does cantrip. So I noticed KM says anything but whiteboarder basics. Well, I will give one exception. Summer Magic basics are the one exception. if you can pony up the cash for Summer Magic basics,
Then you get away with it.
yeah,
Definitely.
you're allowed to play whiteboarded lands.
I feel like Summer Magic is the James Bond style pimp, where like you don't know that he's a secret agent. You don't know that he's got a $16,000 wristwatch with a laser in it, but you can just tell that there's a little bit of style there.
Yeah,
It's very understated.
they're like, why is this guy playing 5th edition basics? Like, what?
They really don't look good. I mean, objectively speaking.
No, they don't. They're just rare.
Yeah. Scarcity is an important thing. Do we have a judge call? They're with twiddling their thumbs a little bit.
So I think we have a judge call here. We'll see what's going on there. Dave's gonna talk to the judge.
He's asking a private question, so it's
Yeah.
most likely about Oracle text on a card or something like that. So looking at the board state, Dave is 2 turns away from comboing. No matter what cards he has, he cannot combo this turn.
Yeah.
His crop rotations are shut off by his own chalice, so that also prevents like the surprise combo you. So Phil is probably feeling in a pretty good spot. He just needs to find combo pieces. He has all the time in the world to do that. And
Yeah.
the Sabo's Web is just going to be a thorn in Dave's side as the game progresses.
Yeah. I'm not sure what Dave's thinking about here.
It's probably some one of the older cards. A lot of the older cards have ambiguous Oracle text, and
Yeah.
how they interact with Sabo's Web might not be readily apparent.
Yeah, I would assume it has something to do with Sabo's Web.
Always ask a judge. There's definitely no shame in doing that. I think players in general prefer to do something and then ask a question later, whereas asking proactively is a good thing. So my suspicion is the question is, if I make my stage a copy of a land without a mana ability, does it still stay locked down by the Sabo's Web?
And the answer is yes, because stage
It keeps its
keeps
ability.
the copy ability.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a second Sabo's Web. Just in case you have a Croson Grip.
Yeah.
I mean, like, legitimately.
They draw cards. I mean,
Absolutely.
That's part of why I'm so hype about this. Is just cantrip, cycle it.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's not worried about Dave playing, like, Echoing Ruin. I mean, that would be the spiciest spice of all time.
Man.
Echoing Ruin, for you guys who don't know, if you might know Echoing Truth, Echoing Ruin is 1 in a red sorcery. Destroy target artifact and all other artifacts that share a name with it. So
Was it
it's sort of
sorcery? I thought the rest were.
It's a sorcery.
instant. Oh, I guess that half of the cycle.
yeah, that one was a
Boo.
sorcery. The
They
green
don't
one was
want
an
it to be
instant.
strictly better than Shatter. I
The
guess.
black one was an instant. The white one was.
That destroys enchantments. Echoing Calm.
I think that one was, but the red one was a sorcery.
Yeah.
It was like I think it was the only one that was a sorcery.
Sculling Tarn's never untapping again. You got it.
Crack Tarn, go get Island. Your wasteland is still blank.
Surprisingly, it might come up. The port your fetch land happens sometimes, and sometimes you don't want to. You just want to let it get ported because you don't want to expose your basic to a Ghost Quarter. You don't
Yeah.
want to go fetch a Volcanic now. You want to wait. But under a Sabo's Web, you just have to crack because you're never going to get it back. Echoing Ruin is the only sorcery in the cycle. Ugh. I hate that. Back then, they were a lot more cautious about making strictly better versions of cards. So
Yeah.
if it was an instant, it would be strictly better than Shatter.
Yep. So Phil's got a handful of gas. He's gonna crack this Tarn. He's gonna go down to 17.
I believe so, yeah.
He has a sneak attack. He has an Emrakul, and looks like you just got a handful of spells. So we'll see what his plan is here. He could potentially have show and tell, but I don't think you want to do show and tell because you are opening yourself up to Dave possibly dropping into Dark Depths and making a 20/20.
Yep. Which is somewhat better than whatever you're about to put into play.
Yeah, it's a little larger than Emrakul, which is not something that you can say very often.
Emrakul's a chump in comparison.
He's just going to hard cast sneak attack. I'm fine with this.
Yeah, so he's opting to play that and pass the turn. The only thing that punishes him here is Curse and Grip. And if it does get gripped, he's not out of it because that locks down 2 of Dave's lands for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Or 1, because he gets to tap the forest. So this is suspend 1, win the game, most likely.
Yeah, and I think that's what Dave's going to do here. I think he's going to Curse and Grip. Yeah, he's going to Curse and Grip the sneak attack. Wasteland's locked down by Sabo's Web. And that's why I like that. That's where that Sabo's Web is like the redundant one is really good because we saw Dave did draw the Curse and Grip and he would have been able to kill it, but
he could have used his mana more efficiently. He hasn't done anything with those lands yet, but that's because of the web. He's been playing very cautiously.
He's got a bunch of stages in play. All these things getting locked down by Sabo's Web.
F711. We
trigger.
We have 4 copies of Sabo's Web and 2 Blood Moons, so he's playing both.
So Phil tried to sneak one by Dave, but Dave's pretty sharp on that stuff. He doesn't miss those triggers.
Very true.
So if you guys don't know, Chalice of the Void is a trigger, and you can miss the trigger. So Phil cast a Ponder, and yes, that triggers Chalice of the Void, but if Dave doesn't announce that Chalice of the Void triggers, he gets to resolve his Ponder. And sometimes that's all you can do. As a Grixis Delver player, sometimes you're just like, may I Ponder? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, sweet.
Just call it the idiot check. You just like run one out every now and then. Just like, are you paying attention? Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you kind of like try to get them to not pay attention.
They do. Legacy Magic in general, but Legacy especially is a mentally fatiguing game.
Yeah.
So later on in the game, some things are going to slip through a Chalice.
Yep. And as a Chalice player, you got to practice trigger. You say the word trigger over and over and over again. All right. So Dave's got a port, but of course port not very good when you've got Sabo's Web. He could theoretically waste the Valk, but only if he makes a copy of... I mean, he can't. He can't, though, because he has to copy it with Thespian Stage.
Which would stay tapped.
Which would stay tapped. So he'd have to play a Wasteland to waste it. Yeah, he's got nothing. That Sabo's Web is doing a lot of work right now. It's doing so much work for Phil.
Dexterity check.
Dexterity check.
I like it.
Activate sneak attack. Here we go. Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. So, and now we've had it on stream twice now, so you guys might have an idea. There's actually a lot of Sneak and Show in the room today.
Yeah.
I went around, I was looking around. There's a lot of Sneak and Show. In fact, I saw 2 people sitting right next to each other playing Sneak and Show. So there's a lot of Sneak and Show. There's a lot of Bug. There's a decent amount of lands, as there always is, and of course, there's lots of miracles. Some spice here and there. I think there's a few burn players in the room, but the majority of what we're doing is Sneak and Show here.
Sneak and Show's rise back to popularity is interesting for me. The advantages to it are it's a combo deck. It's a blue combo deck, so it gets to play Force of Will to protect itself, and cheap counters like Spell Pierce. And it dodges a lot of the hate. Sphere of Resistance and Chalice don't do anything against, Sphere can slow them down if you also have Mana Disruption, but Chalice is definitely pretty ineffective. It shuts off cantrips, that's it. The sneak attack has been not hindered at all. So if people wanted to play a combo deck like Storm and then were scared off by the prevalence of Chalice decks, then Sneak and Show is a good choice.
Yeah. So Dave Long's going to port Phil's Mountain here. I mean, he's going to lose some lands from Emrakul attacking anyway. He's going to take that Emrakul hit. Annihilator 6. He's going to go to 4.
Kept the Mox Diamond because that's, the most versatile colored source. Is not shut off by the web. Wouldn't get shut off by Blood Moon or anything.
I'd like to put Delver on, but to be honest with you, I don't know how many Delver decks are here today.
Yeah, or how many there are after 3 rounds,
Right.
A lot of them might have gotten chopped down.
This metagame's not very friendly to Delver.
Hostile. Yeah. I would not want to play against lands.
I will see what we can do. Yeah, we'd like to get some diversity on the stream, so
we've had a good mix.
Yeah. The only thing The only thing that's been duplicated is Sneak and Show so far.
So again, we're in that situation, like you said, where Dave is not dead. 4 life is not 0.
Right.
And
he still has a Mox Diamond. And I mean, yeah, he doesn't have any lands, but his deck is called lands because it's got like 30 of them. So 30 some. He could easily pull out of this. It's up to, Phil having. Here's a gamble.
So what do we get here? It's given that we just sacrificed 6 permanents and took 15 damage. What is our gamble?
Loam?
I would assume so.
I'm thinking Loam.
Because he can get back his basic forest. That's a safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could also theoretically gamble for Croson Grip to grip the sneak attack, but he doesn't have the mana for it. And if he has a land in his hand, he can have the mana for it. But
Phil's like, hey, I can brainstorm now. Thanks for sacking that chalice.
I think that was a stage.
Ooh. Just cross.
I mean, he just pulled the bottom. Yeah, he just pulled the bottom card.
All right, we have a 3-card hand. Is that what we're looking at?
4-card hand. So probably rerolls and 5s and 6s.
25% to hit. These are poker odds.
1. Didn't see it.
It was a red card.
We gotta. Well, I'm gonna fix this camera after this.
Maybe it was a boil.
Let me see if I can actually. I might be able to adjust it. Let me see.
Boil would be a card to game before, but he's not very close to casting it.
No, I guess not. Can't adjust it from here.
Worth a shot.
Well, maybe I can. Maybe it's just not updating it for some reason. Yeah. All right.
We had 77 players, I think was the most accurate count we heard.
Yeah, round 2 had 77, so we're losing some players. But I'm gonna go see if I can. Oh, you know what I was doing? I think I know what happened. I was doing it the wrong way.
So Phil was victorious. I just wasn't seeing any.
Where'd Dave's deck go? Nope. All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna go manually fix it.
Cool, thank you. All right, so Phil was victorious. Let me correct that game counter. Yeah, bringing the sudden shock in is suspect. I kind of agree with that. The only thing I can think is that perhaps it kills Tireless Tracker. Kills Dark Confidant. Sometimes people have played those in the past. I honestly have no other idea. Yeah, maybe a little bit more if we could. Sudden shock. That's interesting. Maybe we can try to snag him and talk to him. I think this mat just needs to be scooted down. There's a little bit of dead space, but. Four web and 2 moon. 4 webs. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Yeah, here we go. I think we've got it. That's great, Jameson.
Better? Sweet. All right. Got the camera fixed. I think Brian's going to go check for a backup match. We got 15 minutes left in the round. Might be able to get somebody on there for their game 3. We'll see how that turns out. So, yeah, I wonder who we can get. So, who's on table 1? Oh, table 1's Nectotizio Niraj Shukla. Table 2, we don't have. Oh, there it is. Killian Cooley, Ryan Davis. Table 3 is Ben Harris and Wes Shaw. Table 4.